They did, and they all jammed. You good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we are now back in open session after we were just in closed session. I would entertain a motion for student discipline. Oh, no. Please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I almost forgot. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, I would now entertain a motion for student discipline, please.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the findings of the board in student case numbers 2222, 1742, 1843, and 1944.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on student discipline. May I have roll call vote, please?
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins,
Yes.
Mrs. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Easton,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Dr. Adams.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to item number 4, our consent agenda. I see there are, or understand there are no changes to the consent agenda,
Correct.
so I would entertain a motion to approve that also.
So move.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. May I have a roll call vote again, please?
Mr. Easton,
Yes.
Mrs. Terry,
Yes.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins,
Yes.
and Dr. Adams.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you very, very, very much. That should bring us to item number 5, which is public comments. Awesome.
They can see him right here, so that might be.
I think I'm going to enjoy this. Stand right here. Right? This is going to be good.
Around the front, baby. All right, go ahead.
All right, good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Geddes, Mr. Hightower from Mark Denman, Assistant Principal over there, Mr. Nethercott, Ms. Solis is back there. As promised, got some students to talk about AVID College Career Day. So Ms. Grant will show the presentation and she does all this.
I'm Mrs. Grant. I'm the AVID coach and the EL teacher at Mark Denman. We had our annual AVID College and Career Day last Thursday. We were super excited. This is our biggest one yet. We had 30 presenters. We started at 8:30 and we didn't wrap up until probably a little after 1, which it was awesome. So we did bring kiddos today, but I wanted to give a few shout outs and show some pictures as well. So I hit play. Is it going to come up on there too? Where'd she go? Oh, okay. Yes? Okay. So this is it going to come up on there?
She went to the back to.
Oh, okay. I'll wait.
I hope she did.
I think so. But anyways, more about the day. We had inside activities. We had presenters traveling room to room, and we also had students traveling from different rooms. And then we had some like touch a truck activities outside, which I was so thankful. This is the first time in 4 years that we have not had rain on our career day, and so we actually got to go outside and do all of those cool things. And so, no, you're totally okay.
We're gonna try another option here.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. So, Edward, would you like to go ahead and start while we get that set up? All right, is this on? Okay, all right, Edward, go ahead. Yeah.
It's okay.
My favorite presenter was meteorologist Jacob Dickey from WCIA 3 News. I learned how to be safe when there is a tornado. My favorite part was the weather pop quiz. I have fun learning about the different careers.
And this is Edward from Miss Crane's 2nd grade class at Mark Denman. Edward, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A lawyer.
A lawyer. Nice job. All right, my love, are you ready? Edward, you can go have a seat. Good job. Introduce yourself.
My name's Traviana, and I'm in Miss Lee's class. I'm in 4th grade.
I hate that she has her back to the. You know what? Here you
Let's
go.
do this.
Come on, come stand here.
Here they
Come on. And you're gonna stand
This
right
is
here for me?
better.
And don't look at them, they're scared. You just look right there, okay? All right, go ahead.
My name's Traviana, and I'm in Miss Lee's class. I'm in 4th grade. And my favorite thing about Career Day was the officer, Mrs. Newelling, and she let us guess her age, and she was telling us how long she was a police officer, and she showed us stuff what she uses, and she was telling us that Miss Damalato and her are kind of sisters because they was working together, and she brought in some stuff to show us.
And what do you want to be when you grow up?
A teacher.
Awesome.
Okay, tell us your name.
My name is Kiana. I'm in 1st grade.
All right. What was your favorite part of Career Day?
The dog trainer.
And why did you like the dog trainer?
Because she let us pet her dog.
Very cool. And what do you want to do when you grow up?
A dog trainer.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Ellis from Mrs. Watts' math class in 3rd grade. My favorite part of Career Day was how people from all around the world get to show all the work,
Take your time.
all the jobs that there are. My favorite career was the martial arts trainer because he has cool moves.
You got this. I'm gonna stand with you, okay? You got it.
You can use your paper.
Here we go. Because the reason I liked.
The reason I like the martial arts instructor the best was because he told us that you could use martial arts to defend yourself whenever you are being harmed and there's no other way to defend yourself. One fact I learned about martial arts is that there are a lot of children in each lesson. About 75 to 90 kids. That is a whole lot of kung fu fighting. The instructor demonstrated a move where he used his nunchucks and did really amazing. I would love to be able to do that. So here are some facts I learned about martial arts. 1. Only use when necessary. 2. Be extremely careful. 3. There are 75 to 90 kids each lesson. 4. Be responsible with equipment, for example, nunchucks. 5. Always take care of your equipment. In close, that's why I chose martial arts instructor as my favorite career. Thank you for the invitation to represent to you all. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to be a baker when I grow up.
Nice job.
Sorry.
All right. Oh, there we go. So these are a list of all of our presenters that we had attend our event this year.
Yeah.
We were super fortunate. Many are returning presenters, and a lot are new this year, and we hope we made new partnerships with them to continue to come back each year.
You're gonna come back.
We had donations from Pete Goodwin at Country Financial and Susie Shannon at McDonald's. And thank you, Dr. Geddes, Mrs. Bunton, Mrs. Koshevsky, Mrs. Bailey, Mrs. Trex, and Mr. Hart for joining us on that day. Thank you to our teachers and staff at Mark Denman. We could not have had the day we had without you. You can have him
We're
revisit.
gonna have him back.
Okay.
Have him come back.
Come on, Edward. These are just some of the presenters that we were able to get some snapshots of. Come around, babe. We even had 2 virtual presenters that weren't able to be in person with us. The dog trainer was a huge hit. The dog, Rowdy, stole the show. And Officer Llewellyn did auction off a scooter and a helmet to one of our students. She was the winner. It was really cool.
That's cool.
And KDBA was there as well. And Joey Benton took these pictures. They're fabulous, and we are so grateful that he was able to come to our event and snap those pictures for us. All right, Edward, it's all you.
All right, we just want you to do it one more time so that all these great people can hear you, okay? All right, where's your card? Got it? All right, one more time.
My favorite presenter was meteorologist Jacob Dickey from WCIA 3 News. I learned how to be safe when there is a tornado. My favorite part was the weather pop quiz. I had fun learning about the different careers. And when I grow up, I want to be a lawyer.
And if you travel through our building at any point in the next few weeks, we did a Rocketing to Success with Avid theme from the far end all the way to the other end. And all of our kids are little astronauts, and they use the stars of Avid strategies to guide them to their futures. So thank you for letting us come and present.
Great job, Mark.
Nice
Thank
job,
you.
kids.
Thank you.
You were amazing.
Good
Loved
work.
it. Nice job, Mrs. Grant.
Thank you.
To you.
Now, parents, you guys can come on and take these seats.
That nicely.
Okay, Keisha.
Angie Dixon.
Hi, my name's Angie Dixon, and I have a kindergartner at Garfield Elementary School. And it has come to my attention that Garfield is being considered to be shut down. Today, I went through all of the past meetings that y'all have had since May 19th to kind of understand what's going on and wrap my brain around what is going on. And what I came up with is I agree that the building has many issues and it does need to be updated, and it's going to cost a lot of money to do so. But I do know that y'all have spoken about repurposing this building, and everything that needs to go into this building would still have to be done no matter what you use it for. There will still be moisture problems if the windows don't get fixed, and if the AC doesn't get fixed, and if the plumbing doesn't get fixed, and if the roof doesn't get fixed. So you couldn't house it for storage. You couldn't house it as a warehouse. You couldn't use it as a community center. You couldn't use it as any of these things that have been proposed without fixing these issues. These issues didn't just happen. This building's 100 and something years old. It's been happening for a long time. So it's not the parents' fault that the building hasn't been held up to par. And I hate to see it become a building like Cannon. Because if we shut it down, then what? It's going to sit here, and we have enough abandoned buildings in Danville. If we don't fix it, it's going to do exactly what Cannon did, and it's going to fall apart. And then we're going to have to spend millions of district dollars to tear it down, or sell it and let the city tear it down and spend millions of city dollars. I'd hate for that to happen. On May 19th, when Mr. Truex was going through everything that he needed financially to do to the building, the last thing he said was, the best thing for you to do is shut it down, gut it, make it the school it could be, and open it back up. That's what the neighborhood parents would love to happen. Like I said, my kid's in kindergarten. I live literally a mile away from the school, and I can walk to the school. I've heard that if we shut this school down, they're going to split the kids up between Liberty and Mead Park. I fall in Mead Park. that means my son will be bused or I will have to drive him 5 miles. It is the furthest school from my house in the whole entire district. I mapped them all out today. That's not cool. And then I have a baby girl who's going to be going into kindergarten in 2 years. So that means that she's going to be shipped to the east side of the city when we live the furthest west. And that's not cool. So I really hope that if y'all are going to shut it down and you are gonna redirect kids, that you stop and take the time to redirect the whole entire district so all the kids can go to the schools that are appropriate to their location, not a quick fix and just split a school into 2 schools, because that's not ideal, and I don't think it's cool, and that's what I came to say today. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rick Barnes?
Good evening. My name is Rick Barnes, and I'm here with the Cannon Group. And first of all, I want to thank Dr. Geddes and Mr. Hart for having us a couple weeks ago. They had a meeting with the Cannon Group, and they showed us the study that was done by an independent engineer as far as the condition of Cannon, and we saw the pictures. The pictures weren't pretty, I gather that, but what I found from the pictures of what I saw was damage that would be deemed cosmetic. The independent study said the structure of Cannon School is still sound. Now, if I can take a show of hands here, who on the panel is a teacher? You are?
And the principal of Cannon.
We've all,
Oh, okay, great.
every administrator has been a
Well,
teacher.
I have a little thing to present here, and the fact that the teachers are probably the only ones that's going to get it. First of all, I kind of come from a teacher family. I taught a couple of years out at DAC. I've got cousins that are teachers, close friends that are teachers. My aunt was 30 years with District 118. She was the Dean of Girls at East Park, Elaine Banky, if anybody remembers her. That was some time ago. And the closest, dearest to my heart was my sister, Debbie Catron, who was a 4th grade teacher at Garfield. She did 30 years there. And I remember back when Garfield burned, I went there with her to gather her belongings out of her classroom after the fire, which my understanding is the Cannon teachers weren't allowed to do. But anyway, she was crying that day. And I asked her, Deb, why are you crying? And she said, my school is dead. And she thought that that would be the last time she would step foot into Garfield School. Luckily, the school board that we had at that time saw the importance of Garfield School and saw the importance of a neighborhood school, and they rebuilt it, and was lucky that she was able to finish her career there. I didn't know until when she passed, and I read her obituary page, how many of her students, past students, wrote on her page and talked about how much they loved Garfield School and how much they loved my sister Deb. And my Deb didn't call her students, she called them her kids, and that she loved her school. And the reason I'm telling this story is teachers are a unique group. They're the only group I know of that love a physical building. I mean, I was a police officer for 33 years. I can tell you right now, I do not love the public safety building. So teachers are the only one that fall into that group. So the love of Garfield and the love of Cannon goes a long way. I went to Cannon School for 6 years. And it was Cannon School that started me on my path to where I am today. But when we were at the meeting, there was a couple things that were said that really bothered me. And one of them was when Sandy Lucas was talking, and she was a teacher at Cannon, and she gave the story that before the flood, she had to drape plastic over her books and things of that nature. And Dr. Geddes said, I don't know how you put up with that. Well, unless you're a teacher, you don't understand. You will do anything for your school and protect your school because you love your school. And the other comment that really didn't sit well with me is when Dr. Geddes said, no matter what they do with Cannon, I will not let my staff back into that school. And it's obvious that Dr. Geddes doesn't love Cannon either. Now, it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out that Cannon and Garfield has been on the low list for quite some time. If you go around and you look at any of the other schools in Danville, they've had tremendous upgrades in the past few years. And Cannon and Garfield were left out. And that's probably because for some time, Cannon and Garfield has been on the list to be closed. And the flood just pushed Cannon a little sooner than Garfield. But what I don't understand, and again in this meeting, it was mentioned that FEMA and the insurance company wouldn't cough up the money to fix Cannon. And my feeling about that is those two institutions probably felt that somebody else was at fault for why Cannon flooded. Now, I point out Danville had a 100-year flood back in the early 1990s. If you remember that, that's when the water company went underwater. That's when the sewer company went underwater. Bowman Avenue was underwater and closed. Route 1 was closed at Seton Hill because the river was running across it. But Cannon didn't flood then. Cannon flooded in 2015. So what was different from the early 1990s to 2015? Well, there's two things. One was the widening of Main Street, and something was done with the storm sewer system when they widened Main Street. And the other thing is when they paved the parking lot, because Cannon used to be a gravel lot. So FEMA and those other two agencies probably felt that somebody else was responsible for the flooding that happened in 2015.
You've reached your time limit, that's your 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Public comments are 5 minutes, and you've reached your time limit.
Okay, can I come back up after everybody else is done?
I'm not going to answer, I'm just going to let you know you reached your 5 minutes. That can be up to the board president.
No, public comments are 5 minutes per person. And, I mean, that's the rule, and it's been consistent, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Over the last 9, actually 10 sessions now, over the last 10 events that I've been here at the board with you folks, we've put together a pretty extensive study piece. If you combine the videos with the hundreds of email links that I sent you, there is a complete story and a complete study of everything from religion to physics. I'm going to end that this evening with a presentation that I do regularly entitled The Biology of Bioenergy. Because, as I had quoted once before from someone famous, people are not made stupid, they're made that way. They're not born that way, they're made that way through education. And I'm going to give you a couple of really great examples this evening. I'd like to say that they are not your babies, they are our babies. And we have given you them time with you to educate, not to groom, not to indoctrinate, not to medicate. They are our babies. Please remember that. And you're entrusted with them for a very short period of time. What I'm going to do this evening is talk about, as you see the poster before you, it is a scientific proven fact by more than one research study that shows that cell phone technology causes cancer. And here's how. Your body has 37 trillion cells in it. Those cells are powered by hydrogen. Inside each of the cell is something called the mitochondria. The mitochondria, as you know, because you've been taught this, is the battery for the cell. All right? Now, where does it get its energy from? That's what you're not taught. That's what's hidden from you. Inside the mitochondria is a piece of machinery called the electron transport chain. And what it does is it takes hydrogen and oxygen, it splits the electrons apart, it takes the hydrogen and packs it in the membrane of the mitochondria. That's the power for the cell. We are simply hydrogen-powered electrical machines. That's all we are. When you have disease of any kind, it's because voltage has dropped in the cells. You get down to 15 millivolts inside the cell and you get cancer that we are born with and is in our bodies all our lives, just waiting to get out of cell when its shields drop. The technology that you keep implementing in this building is killing us all. This is a device that measures the amount of radiation right now in the room. right? So when you take a cell phone and you move it and you dial, it puts out a frequency that damages your cells. Now, like in Israel, when you buy a phone, there's a warning device on that box that says this may cause illness and cancer. Now, that's hidden from us because they don't want that to happen. They basically want you ill because that's where the money is. So when you take a cell phone, if you'll notice that picture on the left down there, that's 6 minutes of holding a cell phone to your skull. That's called thermography. You can actually find tumors and cancer in the body by using this technology. It's simply a thermal imaging system is all it is. When your ear gets hot from taking and talking on the phone, it's not because you're pressing on it, it's that you're actually frying the cells in your ear. To hand a cell phone to a child is child abuse because their bodies are smaller, they're still developing, and it causes all kinds of problems. So whenever you're thinking about these wonderful technologies, this is why virtually all teenagers and young people today have back and knee pain. All of them. It's not because of book bags, it's not because of sitting slouched, it's is that these kids have been swimming in this electrosmog all their lives. We even microwave fetuses in the womb. A sonogram is a microwave device. You might as well throw in that fetus in the microwave and hit the start button, because that's exactly what's happening to the cells. They're being fried. And that's why all these people have all these issues. Hospitals in Chicago can't keep up with hip fractures in teenagers. Something think about that. Why? Where do they carry their cell phone? You take 20 kids sitting in a high school classroom, they've all got a cell phone, they've all got a tablet, that's 40 microwaves that's hitting their bodies. When you carry a cell phone, it should be in airplane mode. You should turn that off because that's what fries you, that's what kills you. So this technology that we love so much is really doing serious, serious damage to us. So not only have you guys been taking over the last 9 months, up until last month, basically creating permanent neurological brain damage by wearing masks, but you also are frying our students all the time.
Thank you.
Is that it? All right.
Hello again, everybody. I'm here about Canon also. Just had a quick few questions. That meeting that we had a little over a week ago, we were just wondering if maybe we could sit down and talk with you again because we still had a lot of questions that probably can't be addressed here. Would that be a possibility?
You see, I sat down and met with you last time, and I was totally misquoted, because you know I did not say to that woman that I'm sorry. What I said was that should not have happened to you. Am I right? Thank you for being honest. I appreciate your honesty. I told you what happened and the conditions of that building my first year of superintendency. I would not allow my staff or my children, and yes, in loco parentis makes them mine, from your door to mine, was unacceptable for those students to be in. So I even stopped the construction for you. And then you come here and totally misquote, and now you want me to meet with, so I'm feeling, why did I do all that for you when you guys came here and totally misrepresented our meeting? And now you want another one.
Well, I'm just speaking for myself, but it was our understanding that when we were in that meeting that you know, we were invited back here tonight because I think you agreed that we would talk about postponing demo, and you said you couldn't do that without the full board. So that's what I thought we were doing tonight, and then we weren't even on the agenda.
I did it for you. Stop the construction, because they were going to tear it down, and I stopped them and got it postponed. I said, I'll give you a couple of weeks. I agreed to send you letters. I sent it to the VA, and I sent it to the historian copies.
They have copies.
Yeah. And so it's disheartening to have a member of the meeting that you guys brought to me come and totally misrepresent what happened in that room.
Well, we were just kind of concerned because the day after we spoke to you, I mean, the very next day, they started
the same day, they were in the middle of doing the asbestos abatement, and they were doing the lead paint. And we went in there and I stopped them. Stopped the whole construction crew for you.
Okay, because all we know is we've seen them there like every day since then.
Because we were in progress. Remember, the Board of Education had already approved the bid? They were in process. But I promised you that I would, and I did.
Okay, it's just, we were just kind of thrown
But
back
thank you,
when we
sir,
see them
for
taking the
telling the
windows
truth.
out. and
I
they-
appreciate you admitting that that's not what I said. I do appreciate you. Thank you.
But, we were just kind of concerned because the day after, they just totally wiped the windows out of one section of that classroom. I mean, they weren't taken out nicely. I mean, they were just like shattered. So, that kind of looked like, they were starting to do demo, and actually somebody there even said they were doing the demo because they said the asbestos had already been removed and they were just there to start
They were
demo.
doing the demo.
So
I
is
stopped
that
it.
has that been put on hold then for now?
I stopped it.
Okay.
And the asbestos still is not completely removed.
And
That's just the
and we've
extra.
talked to, Mr. Hart talked to you 3 times and told you these things.
I'm sorry?
Haven't you talked to Mr. Hart 2 or 3 times and he told you these things?
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for anyone else. But
Did he- who'd you
it
talk
was
to?
just my understanding that you had to get full approval of the board, and that's why I thought we were invited back here. So
I did it for you. I got it. I talked to him.
okay, well, I'm sorry. I must have misunderstood, but as we've said before. If the building does have to come down, we would really, and a lot of people in the community would hope that you could save those Gothic arches for the front entryway and then the part that says Joseph G. Cannon School at the top, because like I said, it seems like it's in 4 pieces and it would probably be easier to save than if it was just a whole piece. And, I don't know what process you have to go to make sure, that's even possible or whatever, but that would be our wish. And if you don't mind, I have a picture here. I don't know if you want to pass it around or I can bring it directly to you.
Okay.
But this is the exact part that we were looking to save.
Mm-hmm. You told me.
And then there's also some wooden windows on the inside that are 100 years old that inside those doors that we would hope would be saved too. But, if, like I said, if nothing else, if it does have to be demoed or whatever, we hope that, at least that part can be saved. And, as we discussed, maybe make a park or something like that out of there. I don't know if any of the trees are going to be left, We hope that they are, because I think some of them were planted in memorial teachers that had passed away there. So I guess that's all I have to say. Just we hope that you'll consider that much at least, if nothing else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, hello, I've never been to one of the board meetings, but both my girls went to Garfield School from kindergarten all the way up until 5th grade fourth grade, since they changed it to 4th grade. And I kid you not, I'll probably start crying here, but they have some of the best teachers that they have some of the best teachers that I have ever had experience with. And I hate to see the school go, because when I was younger, my family used to live in the area, and I used to go hang out at the school, play with the other kids, and it's very meaningful for a lot of the students in the neighborhood and everything, because it's that way, like the other parents said, they're not having to go split the kids up to 2 different schools, because right now, both my girls, since Cannon School has been closed, they're currently going to Southview. But here soon, they've never been separated. And here soon, when one of them goes into 7th grade, they're going to be in 2 different schools. And this one, she's my one that has eye conditions. So Garfield actually helped her out tremendously when it came to be able to see. The teachers were tremendous with her and helping her out and everything. And I hate for the teachers to get dispersed through other schools and everything, because they do have some of the best teachers that I've ever met, and Miss Weiss included. And I mean, it's just, I hate to see it go, because it's been around for generations, The kids have thrived from there. The neighborhood has thrived with those schools, with that particular school there. And even though they were not able to be bused to the school, they were close by, they were still needed to walk to school every morning. And we live closer to Roselawn, which would have put us closer to the Edison School, but we just did not meet that criteria. So we ended up at Garfield, and it was just a closer point. And there's a lot of kids that live in that neighborhood that go to that school, and have working parents. They can't, take them, or even have the ability to be making sure that the kids get onto the bus. So the school there in that neighborhood is just a pillar of that particular community. And I would rather not see it be a storage. I understand that it does have to have a lot of work done. I've noticed that since, growing up in the area, it's needed a lot of work done for quite some time. And when I noticed that the playground was redone, I was like, well, this is awesome. They're actually doing something with the school. And I saw positive things going to the school. A lot of positive energy came out of that school. And if that school is demolished or even used as storage, that's just going to bring a negative atmosphere to the entire area and to the entire neighborhood, because they're going to see this abandoned school being used as storage instead of being used to educate our students. And that's just how I feel about it. So I would rather not see it gone or even be seen as storage, because it's just wasted space if you're not going to utilize it for the kids, because there's too many kids in this area, there's too many kids in this town to be able to disperse them out to different areas. And then the teachers are already stretched thin with their classrooms as it is. When I went to Southview during a parent-teacher conference, they had classrooms in what used to be their lunch areas. And that, to me, is just not right. Each class should be in their own separate classroom, not using the lunch area, former lunch area, as their classrooms. So it's just too much. It's just too stretched thin. There's just not enough room, not enough classes, and not enough teachers to be able to disperse throughout the entire schools. So keeping the teachers that they have there and keeping the students that they have in that area, they would at least don't have to sit in the lunch areas, former lunch areas, to have a class. So it's just better to just keep the school open and not turn it into storage. And like I said, I understand that it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money. But that's why we pay our taxes. Those taxes go to our schools. And if our taxes are not being utilized to repair our schools or maintain the schools and keep them maintained, then why are we paying them? Point blank. So I just don't understand why even consider of making it into a storage area. If it's not going to be able to be used as a school, it shouldn't even be able to be used as anything at all. But I do not want to see that building empty at all, because kids deserve to go somewhere where they're comfortable with. They know mom and dad are just across the way there and not have crossed the town to get to the bus and to get to the school. And some of these kindergartners are already scared and lost as it is. And when you're putting them on the bus for the very first time, they are absolutely petrified.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it. Okay, thank you for your comments. I'm sure we will.
And okay, we had you guys probably came late, so come on, let's. Sorry. Thank you. No problem.
I love this school. It's the greatest school I ever been to, and all my siblings have went to there. It makes us so happy, but when it's getting shut down, it makes us so sad. And we love it so much, so if it shuts down, we're gonna cry.
What grade are you, sweetie?
We love it so much, and all the teachers and all the staff really love that school. If it's getting shut down, what job would they have, and how would they get money?
What's school to you? It's not school. What is it? What's
Family.
Mm-hmm.
What grade are you in?
Yeah,
3rd grade.
good job. What did he say?
Third grade.
I do got one thing. How many of you guys are from Danville? Born and raised from Danville. I left when I was 17 years old. I came back when I was 35 years old. I came back and Danville's like abandoned. All we see is empty lots. I don't want Danville to be like that. Danville's getting a bad name. And why tear a building down and not do nothing with the land?
All 5 of my kids that went there, from the oldest. Sorry.
It's okay.
I just can't. It hurts me to see my 2 young ones separated. It's just where they started. And my oldest is in 7th grade, 7th grade. So all we know is Garfield. And like he said on the way here, he was trying to do his speech together, and he did really good. That's all we know is Garfield. And that's family. These 2 are like dog advice. I'm Smiley. I mean, we walk in there, we know everybody. Everybody knows me. We go to the stores, everybody knows. And to see it tear down, it really does hurt. My kids love it. A lot of kids say they hate school. My kids say they love school. And it does mean a lot to us to see it tear down. My 2 youngest ones are having a little trouble, and the teachers always pick them up, and that's what's good to us. So we just have to come and say what we needed to.
We appreciate
Thank you guys.
Please make sure you stay, because we're going to talk about, as a part of our bill, I don't want you to go, okay? Because I want you to hear, parents, I want you to hear some of this information. Because you need to hear, this conversation has been happening for a couple of years. Unfortunately, someone threw it on Facebook and didn't give you the whole story. That was manipulative, and I'm going to call the thing a thing. Because they wanted to incite you. They should have told you about the conversations we were having about your school. And we need to tell you some things about when you send your babies, what's happening inside that building. I really want you to hear. Because there's no way in good consciousness you would want me to continue to let your children learn in that environment. They deserve better. That's all I'm trying to tell you. The staff deserves better, and the students deserve better. And while this Board of Education figures out what's going to happen to that building, I am requesting they don't need to be there. Because they need better.
Well, that school should be made better to begin with.
So let's talk about it.
Yes.
Because you weren't given all the information. We've been talking about this really for a couple of years. But I'm going to just start with the fact, do you realize that that building is sitting on top of a city sewer?
Oh, yeah, we
And the stench of raw sewage is coming up into the building?
But that's a city problem, right?
No,
Why?
that precedes me.
Okay.
I'm gonna just say that precedes me.
We should
But
find-
wait, no. Because I'm not sending you to the city, because I don't want to be accused of this.
You guys tore the school down on Williams, correct? On Williams?
Not under my administration,
No,
no.
not under yours, but they tore a school down,
Yes.
perfect land or whatever.
We-
Why can't they repurpose that land to build a new school?
The
It's free land.
Wait, let's have this conversation. I want to make sure you stay. The difficulty is, I don't have the enrollment to support the buildings I have. So I want you to have the full conversation, just not the snapshot that you were given on Facebook. So make sure you stay with us, okay? Because you parents should really know, okay?
So it's item 7, the building use plan. So we're on item 5 now, so it's
Uh-huh, we
coming
just-
right up.
Yeah,
So we just need to do 6, so don't go, okay? Because
Really
I'm
close.
gonna tell you what Facebook didn't tell you.
Yep, so just hang on. So that was public comment. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate that. We will now move on to item number 6. For those of you who aren't familiar, some of you might not have been here before. Public comments is we listen to your comments. Okay? We usually do not have a conversation with you. You here see my hand on her? The only time? Oh, shoot. So that's very unusual. But she's trying to help you out because we want to get to item 7, be able to give you some information, and I may not change your mind, okay? but at least you'll be more informed about what's going on, and we're probably gonna expand this a little bit more just because of tonight. So, thank you for hanging on for that. Unfortunately, we have to get to item 6 before we get to item 7. So let's do item number 6.
IESA dues.
Thank you.
Good
Hurry up.
evening, board. Public, I'll make this very quick. As you know, last time we had a board meeting, I brought forth the IHSA dues and registration fees that our high school pays to participate in extracurricular sporting events. Tonight, I am bringing the 22-23 IESA registration for sports for Northridge Middle School to the board to the tune of $1,365. I'm recommending that we re-up with Illinois Elementary sports and approve recommendation, and this is budgeted for every year.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Okay, you're voting on IESA dues for 22-23 to the tune of $1,365.
Yes, sir.
Roll call vote, please.
Carrie.
Yes.
Striker.
Yes.
Elder Park.
Yes.
Tomlin.
Yes.
Mr. Easton.
Yes.
Dr. Adams.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. That brings us to item number 7.
Okay, so this is the building uses plan, and then it is Garfield. And I'm gonna preface this with some conversation. Yes, I'm not supposed to talk during public comments, but it was just so much misinformation, and I just needed, like I'm trying, okay? So technically, the board has already approved the plan for us to read. We've been talking about the issues with Garfield since I came through the door. Cannon was so bad. 4 months into my job here, no way. Mold, it just was no. People, students and staff should not be there. And the Regional Office of Education shut it down that day, walked me out, and made me walk my staff out. It was that bad. Okay?
No one was let in.
No one was and no one was allowed to take anything in. But we did go back in administration and try to save the blanket that was from the bait. You know, we did that.
The fish.
Probably to our own detriment, but we did those things. Okay? I have been talking about Garfield since I came through the door. The first thing was the security issue. How is it we're in the office and we buzz people in that door and you could walk through that entire building and I'm going to wait for you to come to the office on the 3rd floor? Unacceptable.
What are you talking about?
Garfield? Yeah.
I have to message the school to say, can you open the door and
No,
let my kid
no,
in?
no.
He's standing outside in the rain.
No, I'm going, no. Because you guys all know what I'm talking about. And I had that, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. I had that desk put there because I needed someone to gatekeep and see what was happening and who was coming in that building. That boiler in that building is cemented into the wall. You cannot control the temperature. You can't turn it up, turn it down. Those classrooms, 98 degrees, melting the crayons.
We've all been there and had to open the windows.
Hold on, no, I'm had a sec. The staff, food service staff admitted to me, when they come in every morning, they push that water out that comes up from the bottom, and then they put the mats down. Unacceptable, unsanitary. Me and the city had words over that sewer. That's why I'm going to stop there because they already know how I feel about it. And then it's not going to go well because it didn't go well when we had our meeting. You knew that sewer was there, you put it there anyway. I have a problem with that. The conditions of the bathroom. Do you know I can sit at the bottom of the stairs and see through the building? Straight through. Look outside. Those we have tried to patch. I can hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to fix and manage, and those bricks are still falling off that chimney. It needs another $30,000 just to fix the chimney, and it's not going to stay. The building is landlocked. There's sewer issues, and technically, like the gentleman told me when he met with Cannon, that the whole street around that building needs to be dug up if I'm ever going to deal with those water issues. It's beyond me. I don't have the authority, neither does this Board of Education. There's some bigger issues. Predate me. In the meantime, I didn't want to destroy the building, because I'm the one who have been fighting for the 3 years. It is a neighborhood school. It's my last neighborhood school. If you come to the board meeting or look at them, I'm the one saying that. It's my last one. My kids walk there. It's the only place my kids walk. I've fought for that building for 3 years. The reality of it is they should not be there. They deserve better. Hold on. Compounded with, I don't have the staff. She was right. I don't have the staff, and I don't have the students. Technically, there are probably about 2 schools we could merge. They're not here. So instead of stretching my nurse to serve 2 buildings, I can put them all together and she can serve 1. And that building could have a full-time nurse, social worker. We'll go through it and tell you the staff. My class sizes will not increase. Once upon a time, this district, just before I got, you had about 8,000 students. Right now, we got about 4,600. I could merge these classrooms and not have a staffing shortage. None. Everybody would have a certified teacher. So this Board of Education can decide what they're going to do. I didn't ask them to tear down Garfield. I didn't ask it. In the meantime, so that I could not leave it empty, because I know what happens when buildings are empty, I said, let me put things, not people. Things, not people in that building while we figure it out. I'll keep using it because I don't have to fix the plumbing and the lighting and the ceiling. I did get the pigeons out, but I can house things in there. I can't in good consciousness help put people in it. Could I technically probably go in that building, bring the ROE, shut it down today? But I didn't do that. I didn't want it, and I told the staff that I didn't want it to be another Cannon. I'm going to come to you. You got 8 weeks. You got time to plan, get your things. Let's do it a different way. It could be very different. There's enough wrong with that building. I am trying to meet you more than halfway because I've been your biggest advocate fighting for that building for about 3 years. That is the truth of what we have been discussing with Garfield for 3 years. I'm going to really say 7 because I came through the door saying, hey, And I've been fixing it along the way. Hart.
Thank you, Dr. Geddes, Board of Education. I'm John Hart. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education, and I'm here with my colleague, Mrs. Kim Pabst, Director of Human Resources, and we're missing a few people, so I apologize. There's actually was a group of 5 of us, and that's the Director of Food Service, the Director of Buildings and Grounds, and the Director of Educational Support, Mrs. Truex, who kind of came together and talked to Dr. Geddes about making a recommendation for the building use, a way that we could repurpose the use of Garfield School. So at this point, Dr. Geddes is right. We looked at the falling enrollment, the number of staff, and Mrs. Pabst will talk about that. Some of the things that we already have in the district that are problematic that can be solved by, again, repurposing Garfield School. So looking at educational support usage, as you know, it's been less than a year ago, the board approved a homeless van to be able to help some families in the community. We've taken furniture, we've taken mattress, we've taken clothing. The biggest problem is we have no place to store some of those things. We do have a warehouse. We have a large warehouse. We have a large warehouse that is very full, which has also been talked about at this board meeting is, can we have an auction? What would we auction? We're one-to-one now, technology. I don't know if everybody's aware of that, but we house a lot of computers and a lot of technology throughout the district. So it's really taken up a lot of space. So again, with the McKinney-Vento, the homeless grant, we're looking at keeping health and hygiene products there, cleaning supplies, clothing, bedding for families, and just everyday household items. And again, that's something that we could open up, or we could use our staff to, if it was supplied, then we could deliver those. Buildings and grounds, the usage that they would have if Garfield was to be repurposed. You know, right now, again, the storage, we are at our limit. Our warehouse is full. We have the Buildings and Grounds Annex, which is on Jackson Street. And I don't know if anybody's driven by there. If not, you probably should. There are 3 empty trailers in the back of the annex that are full of you know, supplies and things that are non-perishable, obviously. But we own those 3 trailers. We have no space, and by repurposing Garfield, we have more space to be able to house some of those materials. We are in the middle of a great many construction projects. We have materials coming in, and some materials we get today, and the rest of the materials we need to proceed may not come in for 6, 9, 12, 18 months. And so we need a place to stage some of those materials as well. Garfield would make a very good place to stage those. It's very secure. We could use the gymnasium. So it is that's a huge need for the district. So I think while we're thinking of and planning and looking at repurposing, you know, that's really a big one that we need to keep in mind.
And what you hear Mr. Hart saying is we really struggling to try to find a purpose so that to prove to this board that I can use it for something. There isn't a need to tear it down. It's me still trying to fight to find reason for this building.
But how much do you have to put into the building to keep it to be repurposed?
Nothing. I things, not people.
Mold collects on things, on fabrics.
So what you're really saying is I really should tear it down.
I mean, if it's not going to be a school, then it shouldn't be anything. If you're not going to put any money into it to do anything to it, because on May 19th, the guy said you needed windows, you needed a gym roof, and trusses.
You are right. So should I change the recommendation to tear it down?
I don't want my kid going to meet, so if you're gonna do away from Garfield, what I really need you to do is redirect the whole school zone so my son's not being bused 5 miles away from my home when he's got 3 schools right in the area.
So what I hear you saying is you want me to redistrict, your recommendation is to redistrict the whole entire district?
That's her recommendation.
We can talk we'll talk about the population of the schools.
I'll get that, no.
The population of the schools is in our presentation as well.
What about food service?
So-
What about food service usage?
So for food service, we do have a need also. I don't know if you've been in our warehouse, but again, so non-perishable items could be stored at Garfield.
Mr. Hart, I'm
Yes,
having a
ma'am.
hard time hearing you.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave so I don't get in trouble. It's okay.
No, I couldn't have it.
That's okay.
And I know Ms. Carey was
Thank you.
having a hard time also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt.
You're fine. So food service, non-perishable goods. The warehouse right now is we're very fortunate. We do have a warehouse full of food, but you know, a lot of that we're doing a lot of shuffling around. So we're moving 1 pallet of peas to get to a pallet of corn, and this obviously would solve some of those problems as well. And opening up a community food pantry would be another way that we could repurpose Garfield School.
But just with canned goods, not perishable items.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Geddes. And again, I think Dr. Geddes makes a very big point. Mrs. Pabst is going to tell us about the staff that we currently have and the staff that we could gain through repurposing Garfield.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So as we all know, sure, I'll just switch the spots. Teacher shortage, staff shortage is nothing new for Danville. I mean, it's everywhere. So one thing about repurposing Garfield School into a community outreach center, it does help us with our staffing issues. We would be able to have an administrator move to another building. We do have administration that are leaving. We do need to replace administration. Social workers, we are so short on a social worker, we would have another social worker. A school nurse, we have fought for years. Anyone that has a child in this district or has been in this district knows that we have fought for years to have a school nurse in every building. That is a need for our students and staff, and we would reach that next year. Classroom teachers, when we move classroom teachers throughout the district, we will be able to fill a few, at least 2 of the vacancies that we have when we move the teachers into the other buildings. We will have an additional special education teacher. We know that that's always a shortage. and we've seen a hit in that this year. We will have a building secretary. We'll have a additional custodians. That's been a huge hit, keeping custodians full-time. We will have at least 4 additional food service staff. That's a huge hit. Our food service staff seem to come and go. These 4 have been here and would be moving to a new building. And we would also have another music teacher to house throughout the district. So it does help us fill a lot of our vacancies that we will have on our list. That is a plus for our children and our staff in the district. When we look at redistributing our students that are at Garfield to other buildings, which at this point would be Liberty and Mead Park at this time, what we are looking at, we would be moving up around approximately 111 students to Liberty, 85 students to Mead Park. That still does not put these 2 buildings where they've been in the past in terms of numbers. It does help even at the playing field for all of our elementary schools. Like Dr. Geddes said, we are extremely shy on our enrollment right now, sitting around, what did we say, 46 to 4,900. What this looks like when we divide and move these students, it puts approximate numbers, okay, that puts Edison around 245 students for next year, Liberty around 365, Mead Park around 328, Southwest around 204 when it comes to K4. They do house pre-K, which raises them to around 472 students. And Northeast, which is K to 6, would sit around 238 students. These numbers are based on our enrollment as of this year on March 1st. What we do, and principals that are here, you do know, when we look at kindergarten enrollment for next year, we take the numbers of the kindergarten right now and we use that for next year's enrollment. So it does include potential incoming kindergartners when we look at those numbers. So again, it does put our schools a little more even to where we used to be. It does help with class size. Obviously, Mark Dimon is still our biggest school, sitting around 605. But it does help with evening out the numbers in our buildings. We have buildings with a lot of space because our enrollment is so low. I can't answer questions, I'm sorry, but you can direct them there if we're able to ask questions. But that's where we sit with students and staff enrollment when it comes to moving students from Garfield.
The difficulty in a board meeting is not a interaction. But
Sorry.
Can we please take his question?
I can, do you want me to take it?
You sit here and you said you worried about our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went to South. I used to eat in that same classroom. So you're gonna combine schools because Garfield's gonna get torn down, right? Are you gonna guarantee my kids 4 walls?
We have 2 schools that have no walls.
Yeah.
Liberty and Mead Park have no walls. They're open concept schools.
I didn't know that. But how are you gonna use the X lunchroom as a classroom?
We won't need. We have plenty of space. We won't need a room for any.
Myself, because I have a long-term learning.
Mm-hmm.
When I see someone walking down the hallway, I'm gonna be like, "What's going on over there?" When if it's a closed wall, I'm gonna concentrate more to you as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna focus on you and on the board instead of saying, "What are they doing over there?"
I'm not arguing with you.
We have classrooms.
That's all I have.
Yeah, no.
We have classrooms.
I'm not arguing. Our difficulty is we have 2 schools built exactly that way. They're wide open. There are no walls. There are no rooms. And they've been here forever. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger grade levels are
Partitioned
enclosed
and,
in classrooms. They do
Very
have
successful.
doors for kindergarten, some first grade, and most of the rooms are partitioned. So they either have a big partition or they use bookcases, what have you. So they're open, but they're not necessarily open.
Yeah, you
And I
can't
would
see
take
straight
you
through,
anytime.
but
Very
I can
difficult,
tour
yes.
there's no wall all the way up.
No, you're not, sir. You're
Inquisitive.
And my only difficulty is it was disheartening for me to hear how misrepresented I was when I tried to meet with them and hear, and they everybody was so happy that I met with them, and then you come here and tell the exact opposite of what happened in our meeting. That was disheartening to me. So I apologize. But with the 2 schools that are open, that's difficult. And what we tried to do when I came, we had learning common areas, these big open spaces that predate me, and we tried to, we'll use them for computer labs and things to make better use of them, instead of just having these open spaces that.
Because I went to a teacher parent conference and I'm walking through Southfield. I'm like, well, that used to be my lunchroom. My son's like, well, now it's a classroom.
We still have a
It's
lunchroom.
interventionist.
They might
Yeah.
call small groups to do small group outside the classroom there for what we call intervention time or what I
In
need
the
time,
common
when time.
areas.
And it's small group, it's not a classroom, and they might be doing extra work.
Like if you guys combine schools, they're not gonna have full actual.
These schools won't even be close to capacity with,
Our
with the
enrollment is
combination.
that low, that we
It-
have space.
It's been much, much higher. Liberty, for example, at one time had between 425 and 430 students.
And we're down to 170
We're, right.
right now. Without the kids moving, we're like 170, 180 when it almost had 500 kids in it once upon a time. Our buildings are really low on enrollment, and we're not using them.
Dr.
Thank you,
Geddes,
Person.
if I can point to the map for a second, I know that there was some interest in Garfield residential area. So Garfield is the dark green, and right now we have the dividing line, the 111 and 80
100 goes
and 84. So the 111 that go
Thank
north
you.
would be English Street north and Logan Street to the east. And then Mead Park would be English Street south and Logan west. And we'll get that out. We have a letter drafted, so we'll get that out quickly to the schools. Hopefully by the end of the week, we can have something out. So you'll have an idea of where you could go. You'll be able to contact secretaries. You'll be able to contact this office, and we can help guide everyone. So I thank you.
Ms. Poor, is there
I'm sorry.
something, Nicole, was there something you'd like to say about your building? I mean Zoya.
Hey, Rob, get out of your way.
Zoya, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, who was that? Nicole Poor, don't ask me. Oh, Nicole. Is that a teacher? Yeah. But there were some things you wanted to say about your building.
Sure. Good evening, board and Dr. Gaddis. I am Nicole Zoyer, the principal at Garfield. I'll start by just saying that I'm super passionate about Garfield. Students, staff, families, past and present. My mom attended Garfield Elementary School along with her siblings, and she got to see me be the principal right before she passed away. So that was something really special to me. So my family's always valued Garfield, and I love the staff and the students there. But I have talked to Dr. Geddes, and I understand. I've been around Garfield for a long time, and I do understand that there are some concerns with the building. I had a classroom in the basement when I was a diff there, and there was mold on the walls several different times that had to be painted over and cleaned up. I know that we dealt with the pigeons in Miss Doggett's room coming down the chimney, which was not fun. So we know that there are structural issues, and there are things that need to be fixed and updated for our staff and our students to be safe and healthy. So it's difficult for me because I support my staff and my students and my families, but I also understand the things that need to be done to it to make it the best it can be for our staff and students. So thank you very much for your time, and yeah.
So this is not a recommendation, so the building plan was approved long time ago, but you guys want to have additional conversation about Garfield? Which is why I hate that you guys were misled, that we were voting today to tear down Garfield, because we had a building plan approved long time ago. They wanted me to bring, what could we do, because I have been advocating about don't tear it down. So the challenge to me was, okay, what can you do with it? So this was that part of the discussion. And then I went to the staff to say, hey, if we proceed with that, trying to give them the heads up, which they asked me for, that means I would have to divide the staff. And it did not go out to the public the way I wished. So I apologize for that.
Any other comments, questions?
I do have a comment, or I guess it's a question. There were at least one person in the gallery here, I can't even remember who it was, that talked about their student having to go further away than another option. And so maybe it is time to consider redistricting the entire district. And I don't know the process of that, and I know people's hair probably is catching on fire because of this, but yeah. But but if what we're having is, I do think it's,
when we did it last.
yeah. I can tell you this, having been one of those students that's been here and was born and raised in this community and part of the school district, I was a second grader when the district was redistricted. I was a Roselawn student who happened to stay there, and some of my friends moved to Edison, and some new friends from Garfield moved in, and they redistricted because of legal requirements at that time in the country. And so it's hard to redistrict. It was required then, and I know we've done it since then, where it hasn't been required. But we do, because of the census requirements in our buildings and where they're structured. I would like to at least have a conversation about redistricting before we just say, here's what we're going to do, and at least to know what the procedure is for that. If the procedure to redistrict is an 18-month procedure to have it be fair and thoughtful, then maybe this is what we have to do in order to just be able to do it for the safety and well-being of our staff and students, and the redistricting process may take longer. Dr. Ashton was here for that, and I know Dr. Geddes has been part of that kind of thing before. And no one wants to go through that because then we have everyone unhappy. Yeah. But it might really be the time, because we're dealing now with a lower census of our students, and we're dealing with this one building that's now in disrepair. It's in such disrepair that it's causing health and safety issues, it sounds like. And I would like to consider, at first I would like to know what's the process for that, and then I would like to know is it past the timing where that can be considered? And I'd like the board to have a discussion. And it's probably, I keep doing this to you, Mr. Hart, when you're up there. You get the questions that are like the hot seat questions.
I really feel good about this question. Dr. Geddes actually set me moving in about August. So we've done some preliminary work. We know that right now we have a large population at Mark Denman Elementary, and we knew that dispersing a whole district, which takes about 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
We have looked at different scenarios. Again, I know as a board we've talked about the pros and cons of grade level centers, and there are definitely pros and there are definitely cons. Don't know if that's a direction we'll go, but I do think that we need to look at the impact of the population on Mark Denman. Right now we house the probably 600, or there's 600 kids. We have the MATS program. We have the largest special education program. So really being able to look, and there are rooms in those buildings, even some of the buildings that we're putting in students now, there would still be additional space in those buildings. So Dr. Geddes is probably, I'm saying she's 3 steps ahead of you on that one. And I have contacted IASA, and they do studies and they help with some of the redistricting of students. So that will be a direction we'll be looking. I'm not saying that's something we're doing. I'm saying it is something that we will consider. So I appreciate you saying that.
What I hear you saying is that that there's no way a full redistricting plan could be in place by next fall.
That's
right?
exactly what I'm saying.
So we need something in the meantime to accommodate our students and staff in a way that is in the health and safety. So we may be doing like 1 or 2 moves if we ultimately decide to redistrict, which is a really bumpy ride, and there are going to be some families that are just, it's not going to be great. But ultimately, when we have such a change in population in the community, this is what happens. And I know we are not the only community this is happening in.
No.
Thank you for putting me in the hot seat.
You're welcome.
Well, I just wanted to say that I too, Shannon, have asked the question about the redistricting. I think Mr. Hart I asked about it last year, and I think that's why the conversation started, because I asked about it, and talking to some other districts about them learned that it is a process. And it's a long process. The 12 to 18 months is short considered what I was told was 24 to 36 months. It's what I was given by Bloomington and Peoria, talking to those 2 superintendents. But, and it is something I know that we we've had the conversation about, and again, it's something that the board is open for. I just want to say to Garfield and Garfield staff, that this isn't lightly. Guys, it's not lightly. And I hate those people left from Cannon because I was the Cannon, and one of my first breast cancer things came as a result of being in Cannon. I'm not saying it caused it. I'm just saying there have been problems. And when he said there was no flood, that's not right. I remember getting up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, having to go to the building to help my custodian sweep the water out before staff came in. So we have not taken any of this lightly, and we'll continue to look at everything in every building for every child. But again, we appreciate the kids coming. We appreciate the staff coming. It's hard. It's hard. You know, would I like to be sitting out there? Yeah, I would. Rather than sitting here, I would.
Any other? Any? All right, I'll take a moment. Yeah, I've said it before. My kids went to Garfield. I'm a Garfield parent. I remember painting the classrooms in the basement. I can tell you the teachers because it was kindergarten, and my kid was in kindergarten, and they were horrid. And we got buckets of paint and painted it. We didn't ask for permission either, sorry. And we got in trouble for that later. And then we started and went to the bathrooms, and went to the bathrooms that are downstairs and the corridor outside the bathroom. And then it looked good for about a year, and then everything bled through, and it was just moldy again. So, we're aware of that school and what the sewer is like underneath we don't even want to talk about the sewer. And there's other structural issues with the stage. I mean, we can go and look at the notes from when we had the facilities meeting before, and we went through what was wrong with Garfield, and there was a lot. What my first reaction was, and you used to say it, we got to save that school. That was our first reaction, and I'm not going to blame it on Skip, but the Buildings and Grounds kept saying, I don't know. You know, there's just a lot. It's just a lot of things wrong. So it's a bittersweet pill to have to take because you're right. My office is in that neighborhood, so every day I'm driving through the neighborhood to watching the kids walk into school right by my office as I'm driving, and it's really cool. It is a neighborhood school, and do I want to see it go? No, but sometimes we have to make a tough decision, and that's what the board is doing here. It's not a personal decision that I get to make, because if I would have done that, I would have said you have to keep Garfield open. But when you weigh all the evidence that is out there and all the things that have to be balanced, it is a decision that it is something that has to be done. So we apologize for that, but we're going to try to make lemon with lemonade with our lemons here, and try and repurpose this building and get whatever we can out of it. And I'm not going to hold out hope for the building, but at least we're going to use the building while we still can. So I think it's a wonderful idea. I really actually like some of the ideas, several of the ideas that you put forth with that. So look forward to that. But if there's nothing else, we'll move on. Item number 8. That would be you.
Thank you.
Early Childhood Expansion Plan.
It is.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and begin. I'm going to speak tonight on expanding half-day programs to full-day programs in pre-K. This is something that the board has spoken about this year, and we found a way that we believe that we can make this possible and be able to do some creative things. So I appreciate everybody's thoughts behind this. So I'm recommending that we expand the 12 half-day preschool for all classrooms. So preschool for all, remember that's the grant, and those are half-day programs. So there's a morning class and an afternoon class. So when you look at the Southwest enrollment, it always looks really, really large. And it is large, but it is all the pre-Ks divided in half. So I'm making that recommendation that we switch to 5 full-day classes and 7 half-day classes for the 2022-23 school year. So we're not quite ready to go yet. As soon as this board meeting's over, we will be putting a committee together of teachers and looking how we can best serve the students. So right now, again, remember we have full-day preschool for all expansion at Edison. So this would bring us up to 8 full-day classes and 7 half-day classes, and some of those being early childhood special education. So those numbers are a little bit smaller, the number of students in those classes. So I know that there's been a concern. I've heard concerns as soon as this came out that we're actually lowering the number of spaces in our preschool. And right now we have 338 students in our pre-K program, and we'll have 340 slots next year. We have 173 3-year-olds that will be 4-year-olds next year, which we intend to focus on 4-year-olds transitioning to kindergarten. So being able to utilize some of those skills. The conversation that Dr. Geddes and I had, and actually Mrs. Truex, ended up talking about, we were talking about how the district could fund a half-day program and we could kind of do what we wanted outside of creative curriculum, which, we know we have our struggles. And we are going to actually be able to pay for half the day out of preschool for all grant. So that'll be the half day. The other half day, so we can split it, and instead of paying out of district funds, we can put that in ESSER funds. So the full program would be funded, and we'd be able to teach some pre-academic skills at those times. We've talked about, would the morning look that different than the afternoon? How would this look? And these pre-K teachers are phenomenal. So some pre-academic skills, creating centers that look very similar to the creative curriculum. Again, some numerical number IDs. So I'm very excited to move forward with this. I appreciate the thoughtfulness that went behind this. I think it's high time. We do have an awful lot of kids that enter kindergarten, and we do the kids assessment, and our kids are not ready for kindergarten, and I think this is a step in the right direction. So I appreciate everyone's support on this. Any questions?
Does this change compromise the grant at all? Did you say the grant?
It will not. Believe it or not, we kind of maneuvered that one. We had great conversation around that.
Ms. Harleman, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I asked if this move would compromise the grant
Okay.
that we currently have.
I have a similar question then. So since we are using the ESSER funds for the half day, how do we budget forth if we continue this program? Do we just going to budget because that money may not be available?
That is a great question, Dr. Ashton. However, this is the last year of the grant, and the grant will be rewritten next year, and we can include this in the grant. We can look at preschool for all. We can look at preschool for all expansion. We know that there's capital money that they keep saying is out there for new facilities for pre-K. It looks like that may come available next year. I really feel like this puts us in a good place.
Mr. Hart, I think this is a great proposal, and I know Dr. Geddes, you've helped lead this. I think that nationwide this is going to be standard. Would you agree? In a few years, we're innovating here.
I would hope so.
I think so. So I think we're getting a head
I would
start.
hope so.
it's good to see that we're ahead of the curve and we won't have to be forced to do this later because we will already be doing it. That's awesome, but really, just getting kids to read in kindergarten that's a good goal, I think, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think this will help us get to that goal, so thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Speaking as the grandmother of two of those pre-K.
Yours will still be in the half-day program.
No, I just want to say I think those teachers have done phenomenal with the half-day, and I think that they will do an exceptional job with the full day, because what my two come home with, just that they've done in those few little hours, is just, it blows my mind, because I'm thinking, I'm looking at two and thinking, oh my God, how do I keep them moving? And then I'm thinking about, they've got all these in there. And I've been out there and seen, whew, kudos to them.
We
and to
are
you.
very fortunate, and actually, you know how rumors fly? I've already received phone calls, text messages, and we have many preschool teachers that are, if we go full day, I want to try it. So, pretty exciting.
Yeah, I just applaud them and you for it.
And I'm really delighted for how this will make pre-K more accessible to families, working families, who some of them, it was just out of reach when then we only had half day, or that was the only one where their students were able to go. So now we have a better offering. And then we still have a few half-day classrooms for parents who prefer that as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you for helping to serve the needs of our students in the community.
Okay. Do you need anything from us? I could say not.
Just an applaud.
Just applause.
Thank you.
Okay, there.
Thank you.
You really said just applause.
I mean, that's all I had to do is ask.
I was trying to run
This
quick.
is not an action item because we already have the pre-K program, we have the grant. The grant won't change until next year, we have the staff. We're just kind of moving it around a little bit. The part of it that does need approval is why Kim is up here now, because
Summer school.
Huh?
For summer school.
Are we doing the pre-K?
First is summer school, and it's
Oh.
just a
Part
recommendation.
of what she's doing.
Yes, next up,
will
she's
be
just gonna have,
the portion that needs to be approved.
so I'm back, hello, Kim
First
Paps
things
again.
first
I'm
is
back.
the summer school
This
staffing.
is the summer school, this was what we looked at last board meeting, the $30 per hour for our interventionists, just to have this back as a recommendation for tonight.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, any summer school staffing recommendations? Any questions or comments?
Do you have interested people?
I hope so. We've had actually quite a few applicants already. So if any staff are watching, summer school and everything is posted. But yes, we've had quite a few interests between the high school and interventionists and ESY. We've had quite a few, so we should be A-okay for summer school.
Almost May.
Good deal.
I know.
It's crazy. I don't know about you guys. Where did this year go?
It is basically May.
And we're gonna race to the end, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Great.
No other questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 6-0.
Perfect. All right, this is what Dr. Gaddis was referring to. My next piece here is the job description for a first reading for a preschool program coordinator. Obviously, the program is going to grow more, and we would like to bring in a coordinator to supervise, evaluate, plan, and keep it growing and maturing as the years go on. So for tonight, this is just a simple first reading for the preschool program coordinator.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
If we have any questions, we will ask you next time.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, see. Didn't mean for you to turn around. All right, that brings us to number 10, curriculum. 10A, English language, English course.
Good evening, board. I'm Mary Ellen Button, Director of Curriculum, and I'm Brandy Kuchevsky was here last time, and we talked a little bit about this position. So tonight, I'm here representing both of us as a recommendation to adopt this course at DHS for next school year.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt this English course. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 6-0. What was that?
It doesn't ask for a motion.
Oh, but it's a recommendation, so that's why we can do it. So, whoop. That brings us to, let me pop out of that, and to 10B, textbook.
So, as you might remember, a few months ago, a month or two ago, we did a presentation on, we came to you in the fall and asked if, or early spring last year, if we could try out some math materials because of, it was time for us to look at a new series and also because of COVID. And then we gave an update a few months ago, regarding how it was going with, Eureka, what we're trying in math, for K through 6. And so, after working with the committee, after trying it in some classrooms, we feel confident that this is something that we should try next year, full-blown with all of the teachers for K through 6. And the cost of a one-year adoption is $132,306.56. And we will use ESSER funds to be able to pay for that. And then if we have another successful year with it, then we'll likely come back with a multi-year adoption.
I move approval.
Second.
This isn't this
It's a
just-
first reading,
Yeah,
I'm
it's just
sorry.
a
It's a
first
first
reading.
reading.
Okay.
We'd retract that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I appreciate your enthusiasm to move things along. But yeah, not necessary yet. But any questions about the books?
The only question I have is, it's print and it's digital. Can you explain that a little better for me?
Yes, it does allow us to do both. All of everything that you can get in print is available online. Some of the things are they're better if we do them in print, and there's other things they have a really incredible assessment that the kids can take online before we start a unit. I think I talked about it last time. And it'll tell us before we start a unit or a topic, it'll tell us what prerequisite skills the students need to work on before we tackle that unit, so we can build the background knowledge that they need to be successful. So that's not available in paper, but most everything is available in either manner. And that was one of the things we struggled with in Vision quite a bit when we, it wasn't a really good, robust online program that we had when we went virtually.
And then these are one-time use or multiple year use?
What we were asking for the first reading is for next year. It would just cover the cost for what we would need for next year.
So the book basically is like a paperback.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. They're consumables is
Right.
what we call those. So we have, we have some left from what we purchased this year. So we were able to utilize what we already had and add to it for the consumables, but it'll also give the students a one-year digital license as well,
Okay, thank you.
and the teachers.
Yes.
So it's not like the old math books where they would last 10 years.
No, nothing is
And
like
we
that
have
anymore.
written all in them and stuff like, we all
the
old
answers.
people remember that.
So July-ish, if anybody wants to join us at the warehouse as these things all come in and we unpack them and sort them for all the buildings, we love for people to sign up and help us with that. So if anybody's interested, just let us know.
Golly.
Yeah.
Could you send us?
So that didn't happen before when we had the old textbooks. They would come in one time, we'd get them out, and then we wouldn't have to do them
Yeah.
again. But we have to do this each year, but it works out better for the students.
Could you send us a text message or email, just letting us know about time, because
See?
this is
Got a nibble.
April, and I'm old.
Yeah.
May of July, I won't remember.
Yes, yes.
do
We'll
you s-
probably spare you guys. We can manage it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item 11, special ed, update on U of I partnership.
Good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Geddes. Good evening, community, every community. I'm glad to be here. I'm Kevin from the University of Illinois School of Social Work. Yeah, I think she's.
Good evening. Molly Bailey, Director of Special Education. I'm super excited to have Dr. Tan here with us tonight. I think it's been a long time coming, but then COVID happened and all of the things.
I'm glad to be here in person seeing all of you.
Yes.
We're sorry to keep you waiting so long, too.
Not
Yeah.
at all, not at all.
So basically we kind of.
We should start from the beginning.
Oh yeah, it's not at the.
Oh
it's
no,
the
they're all
end.
getting a glimpse of what we're going to talk about. Yes.
Thanks to Mrs. Halloran for the connection and Dr. Tan for writing a grant. We have been able to bring some supports to the district and to our students and teachers and families.
Oh. All right. Go ahead. I'll join in. Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Tan wrote a grant through the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. It's the R3 grant, Restore, Reinvest, and Renew, basically to help us bring the social emotional well-being to students and families. We know that we are lacking social workers, and we're trying to recruit them. Actually, we have 5 interns for next school year. I'm very excited. And I think part of that has been help of Dr. Tan's partnership because some of his students have come our way. So very excited about that. So we're just trying to bring as much as we can into the buildings. We all know that lots of times we would refer kids out to our community agencies, but transportation or whatever in the evenings, they just can't get there. So we're bringing supports into our classrooms.
All right. Yep. Probably I could elaborate a little about this grant. So this is the first initiative by the state. The call for proposal. This was just before the pandemic struck. I saw this opportunity, and at one point of time, I do have a number of students after graduation. They come to the district. Work as school social workers. I mean, at my end, I do keep in touch with them, and I sort of understand about the needs here in the community as well. So my heart goes out to all the experiences of the school social workers out there, and I saw an opportunity here with regards to making connections with state initiative, the role of the university, at the same time, addressing the needs of the community. And this is one thing that our university chancellor always emphasized to us, that University of Illinois, we are a land grant university. We are a land grant institution. What that means is we have a social responsibility to the communities around us. And this also includes the Danville community.
All right.
So at a point of time, I saw this opportunity. I got in touch with Mrs. Halloran, who was really great to actually make these connections for us here. I was really glad. It was a highly competitive process. I was worried. I was keeping my fingers crossed. All right. We were one of 80 recipients for this grant out of 400. It was a highly competitive process. So in brief, this grant is offered by the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. The grant started February 1st. The first year of it ended January 31st. I'm really happy to say we were renewed for the grant. So we were renewed for a second year. Yeah. All right. And this continues all the way until January 31st, 2023. And on top of that, this is still under review. It was a mad rush at our end. I was offered supplemental funding for this grant. It was like a 2 weeks turnaround, 2-3 weeks turnaround. It was a mad rush for me to actually put in something in there. And this is where we were negotiating, and we have a proposal in to be collaborating with CrossPoint Human Services to be increasing the number of services which we bring into the district here. And I think this to me is really exciting because it really enhances the supports that the district have. And on top of that, the whole idea is really embed professional help within the schools to support students and the communities.
So we just kind of wanted to give a brief overview about what's been going on. So the program activities for the first year were provided in the school district with 2 Roads Wellness Clinic, the Hope Center, and the University of Illinois. What it included was individual counseling for some students, after school programs for students and parents, classroom lessons, and then some support for the psychologists and social workers. Not only Dr. Tan meets with us regularly, but also Jenna Mahoney, one of his doctoral students.
Yep.
She is kind of at our beck and call. It's for lack of a better way to say it. If the psychs or social workers or I have questions, she emails, she kind of researches and finds things for us. She's at our district leadership team meetings, so she's at PBIS meetings with us. So she's just kind of there to kind of help support the whole process.
Probably I could comment a little about Jenna's role. She is a highly experienced school social worker, 6 years. She's very familiar with the community around as well also. And I thought, she's able to play that consultant role to support the district. And over the last year or so, we have been getting questions from, schools, social workers, psychologists. Hey, do you have any suggestions, for a social and emotional program? Jenna does the background work, does the research as well also, makes the recommendation. So I think that's also one way in which we make the bridge between what we have at the university, cutting edge perspective research, and how we actually make that bridge with the district.
The population served the first year were Northridge Middle School, KADBA, Mead Park, and students and families at the Fair Oaks Housing Complex because that's where the Hope Center is located.
Right. I could comment a little about this. I'm just amazed about the creativity by the staff involved in this grant and what they bring into it. This is a project at Mead Park. Lauren was leading it as well also. Story Walk. And this was done, basically what they had was a story, I Believe I Can, which is really a story about young kids' resiliency, diversity as well, so understanding the world around them. And what they did was they actually had pages of the story, outdoors. And what they actually did was they created what is literally known as a story walk. They brought kids out, outdoors, all right, while at the same time reading at different intervals as well also. And the stories I'm hearing from, Lauren, what she told me, and the feedback we actually got from teachers, and what she observed was really, really heartening. All right, she was telling me stories about how they're actually seeing older kids trying to read to the younger kids about the story as well also. So I think this is something, this is done at the universal level. To a certain extent, we try to actually bring innovative ways of promoting young people's mental health as well as social emotional well-being.
I just asked Mr. Rice. I didn't know if he would be here or not tonight. So he just had positive things to say about Lauren Lenstra from the Hope Center, who's been at Mead Park. I think she's kind of become a staple there, and part of everything they do. So he had great things to say about her and the programs that she's doing. So we've moved into year 2, and it's going to look a little bit different than year 1. The Hope Center and the University of Illinois, and then we're working on getting Cross Point.
Let me comment a little about the university's support in this. I do arrange for students, master's level students, to also go in with the clinicians to be working with students as well also. I thought that's also a nice model of work with regards to university students supporting services within the school as well. I think that also helps students to see their possible selves in future. It helps to make a role model, that bridge there. All right, University of Illinois, it's here, right, not too far away. This is their future that they could also, reach to as well. So I think here is, I'm also trying to bring students in at the same time, support, the district work on this.
So essentially they're doing classroom and small group lessons under kind of the supervision of the principal, Lauren, Dr. Tan's supports, and then our school social workers. So it's helping our school social workers because they're able to do some of the other things while these social workers are doing the classroom lessons. They might be able to do more individual supports or other things in the building. So we're adding, we continue to add, that's kind of been our goal. Edison and Mark Denman, and also just more supports for the psychs and social workers. Jenna has agreed for next school year to do professional development on a kind of bi-monthly basis. So we just keep adding and adding more supports. We keep trying to pull Dr. Tan. I offered him a spot in my office. But,
there you go. I might drop by. I would drop by. These are examples of work that has been done. Random acts of kindness. We see Lauren doing a social and emotional program, in the classrooms as well. So this is ongoing at the bottom there. Garden of Kindness. So there is a curriculum out there. It's called Random Acts of Kindness, and this to a certain extent is really inculcating, social skills, with young people here. Basically they have this wall over there. You notice the flowers, they are colored differently. So here, the way in which it goes, if there's any act of kindness which they have done with their friend, or if they have received, they write it on a little flower petal. They paste it, on the wall over there as well. And as of March 28th, you could see it's really full already. All right. I was told they literally might need to find a second wall as well. All right. These are examples of social and emotional programming which also done within the classrooms as well. Also, this is a creative activity. Building a little house. They actually talk about what it means with regards to building community, using spaghetti and marshmallows. All right, and the next page is the next slide as well. Also, it's building blocks activities. So I think this is really how young people actually learn about social skills, and we know at this age. It's really important with regards to social skills. It is actually what determines someone's success in life, the ability to be working with people as well also. This is also what is known as non-cognitive school factors as well. I think these are all important skills we actually will need to support our young people. And more importantly, during this time of the recovery from the pandemic as well also, we have actually seen increases in mental health needs. We have also seen increases as it relates to social emotional skills.
One of the other connections Dr. Tan has helped us with for a long time in District 118, we did the Icing the Body Electric Survey, and I don't know if it was COVID or the OSF changes, but that kind of they've taken a step back from that at this point. So in our conversation with Dr. Tan about looking at that kind of data, he connected us in regards to the Illinois Youth Survey, which is essentially the same kind of survey. You ask the kids. And what's good about this is the data that these guys use for helping us get more grants and to bring us more things. It was kind of too quick to implement this school year, so my plan is to work with the buildings to implement that next school year.
Yeah. And I think this last slide here is really, ultimately I see my role here to be a facilitator, to actually meet the needs of the community. And to a certain extent, I've also helped the district actually make connections beyond social work itself. Our College of Education, they do have a Bureau of Educational Research. It's a big college there. My colleagues there are doing like cutting edge work as well. So we had initiated a conversation. They've actually heard the needs of the district here, and they're always looking out for opportunities to actually link, work that is being done on campus into the district as well. So I think I'm excited about these connections here, opportunities for growth, opportunities for connection. I think this is really a great partnership we've been having with the district as well. Yeah.
So that's kind of a snapshot of what we've been doing and hopefully to keep expanding. So, you have any questions?
I have a question. I don't quite even know how to phrase the question, but there's so much attention on emotional trauma following the pandemic.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you had to give a grade, and maybe you don't even want to do that and it's okay, for the health of our population here.
Oh wow, you're putting on me on the spot with this, a grade. I think needs are there, all right? If you talk about the health of the population here, I mean, back at my end, I work with a couple of districts. I look at data, I look at statistics. Unfortunately, here in Danville, I think needs are really great here. All right, this probably explains why we were successful in securing the grant as well. Also, all right, I will go on to also say that here, to a certain extent, there's a lot of resources, say, in the Urbana-Champaign community as well. Also, right, to a certain extent, I will also say that our campus has also forgotten about communities beyond that as well. Also. If you actually look at some of these numbers here within the Danville area here, say for instance, violence, youth violence, all right, violence within the community, within the neighborhoods, some of these numbers are even comparable to the Chicago numbers as well. So, all right, and I think this is where I think it's really important that we need to actually pay attention, to the needs of the community around. And I think not only that aspect of it, I think that aspect of it as it relates to poverty. All right, I think this is also an important area. I think here ultimately is really to really promote student success within the classroom. I do see the important role of us partnering with the district it's our university's responsibility to actually promote the well-being of the communities. So hopefully that answers that.
It did, thank you. And it just looked like from the slides that our kiddos are responding to the things that are happening. Would you say yes?
Yes, yes. I'm confident to say yes. I'm confident about, the clinicians, whom we're actually bringing in as well also. I'm hopeful, I'm, looking forward to potential work that we'll actually be doing in expanded, in other schools as well also. And, I think it's really important for us to really think about expansion of services. The goal, the vision, every student having access to a counselor, a social worker. I think that's key, especially in this time, as we recover from the pandemic.
Thank you for what you're doing for District 118.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you,
appreciated.
Mrs. Holleran, for making all this link.
I think it's great. You're going to have 5 interns. I don't think you can oversell it. Having, even if they're only here for 1 year, the impact that they're going to be able to have on our kids, even if we're borrowing them for a few months. Thank you very much.
Well, we hope to keep them.
If they stay or if they don't go, I hope
I do
you.
all we can to try to keep them.
Whether or not
And,
they stay or they move on, I hope that we can continue to work with students. I think that's just the brightest. That's a really bright spotlight on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. I'm looking forward to continue making this bridge. I think it's the role models there, the possible self that Danville students can see, with working with interns from outside.
I'm very grateful for you coming to the community and for you. It's clear you have you care about our community personally and you're invested in it. Thank you for the writing of the grant. And I want to thank Mrs. Holleran too for making the connections and lassoing you over here.
Yes, thank you.
Because that's wonderful. And for every ounce that you've sowed into Danville, I know it's just going to yield lots of rewards, and it already has. So we're
Thank
grateful
you.
as a community.
Thank you. I would add, also thanks to working with the administration as well. Also, we had lots of discussion, lots of meetings. I appreciate all our conversations as well. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, we all appreciate that. That was a great presentation. I mean, that really gives us an insight into what's going on, even deeper, because at first on the surface I went, oh, that's a nice thing. It's like oh, that's good. Just go do your stuff. But when you broke that out and at what you're actually accomplishing and your goals for doing it, and then data supported.
Yes.
I mean, it's awesome. So we
Yes.
certainly do appreciate it.
I look forward to coming back again and providing other updates.
We look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
you.
You're
always
Yes.
welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Yes. Well, that was awesome. Well, let's do some policy because that's our favorite stuff to do.
Get them in here, at least if we get them in.
Board of Ed Policy 490, student activity and fiduciary funds. We have a recommendation.
Good evening, Board of Education.
From our
Dr.
last
Geddes. I am Narcissus Rankin, Director of Business and Finance.
You speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Narcissus Rankin, Director of Business and Finance. The policy change that I am recommending this evening is just to add the terminology to our current Board of Ed Policy number 490 regarding student activity and fiduciary funds. I am requesting that we include convenience accounts.
And your recommendation is that we adopt this and make this part of the policy,
So,
correct?
Yes, sir.
May I have a motion to do so?
I move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I just have a question. The account is such a good idea, and thank you for the work for that. And thank you, Dr. Geddes, for your insights about that. What kind of accountability is there in that account? Is
So
it going to be an
it'll-
annual report?
It'll be ran the same way as all of our bank accounts that we have, scholarships, our activity accounts. It will be monitored by myself and the treasurer. And yes, it will be a ledger. Everything will be accounted for. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So it'll be a visible, it'll show up like our activity account?
Yes.
I mean, I assume that since
Yes.
the language mirrors the activity account
Mhm.
language. So, and I like that you picked option 3. Okay, I mean, that was a good idea. Any other questions or comments? If not,
Okay, so.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Me? Yes.
Yes.
yes. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 13. Oh, Business and Finance.
Yes.
Resolution for the appointment of treasurer.
Yes, so this evening I am asking that the board authorize the establishment of a convenience account for student assistance. So this account would actually allow us to support some of the students' needs as a district that are not directly related to curriculum. So right now, we've done is staff, administrators, when there's a need, and usually it's an emergency need, we personally finance it. So I'm just asking that we establish a convenience account so that it will be funded through donations, probably from the same people that contribute financially anyway. But and a lot of those needs, a majority of those needs are emergency housing needs and household essentials. So I'm just recommending that we authorize the establishment of the account for student assistance to be used for emergency needs.
So moved.
Second.
So there's not a budgeted amount to go into that account?
It'll be a donation account.
Donation only?
Yes.
So again, the accountability?
Absolutely.
Same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you make that a little more well-known?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I don't know that people realize how much, even building principals, I don't know that they realize how much, when there's an emergency, it just, they just do it.
Yeah. I would just think that people would be interested. She won't even hear me
We'll
out.
find them.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll find them.
Okay.
So our convenience account, so we're resolution for, this is actually the rules to make everything, the account work.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
so
is
we
what
can
we're
open
voting
the
on
account. Yes, sir.
And
Okay.
it's something we are actually already doing, have done,
Yes.
teachers, we give, we make it happen. We don't want you on the street. We don't want to advertise it because we don't want to become,
I see. I understand.
Yeah.
but we're gonna make it happen for our kids, and we just wanted a way to have some structure with it.
That's
And
it.
instead of just, and accountability, instead of having a pot of
Accountability.
money that we just, that we've given from our own pockets. And we just wanted to bring some structure to it.
Which is an excellent idea.
Thank you.
Transparency.
So appreciate that. Okay, and if there aren't any other questions, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Howland?
Yes.
Dr. Ed?
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 14, informational items. You gonna inform us of something?
Yes, I am Mary Ellen Button, Director of Curriculum, on behalf of Kelly Truex, Director of Special Programs. I have a little exciting book for you, Book 2 of our Summer Learning Opportunities. And I'm going to do the best that I can to answer any questions that you have. I am fairly familiar with this, and they've given me some good notes. But we're really excited that this is Book 2. Book 1 already went out.
Thank you. Part 2.
Yes.
This is for families and of things that they can sign up for.
It's for our students specifically.
That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Other
Oh,
two-
this is the one that was so well written. Book 1.
Thank you.
That we could understand, I mean, easily.
I said that last
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love
It
that.
was the dummy, the dummy version that most of us that trying to fill out these forms, it was so easy. Cause some of them others are,
They work
This was a
very,
good
very
one.
hard on this, and they
Yeah.
start fairly early on. And so
Yeah,
it's,
this one was a
because the
good one.
processes are fairly complicated. When we looked at them to begin with, so it's always important that we make sure that we give our families the best opportunity to be able to apply for these things as well.
Are there any tuitions involved in this?
If there are, I believe that we are covering them through our different funding sources, so students don't have to incur those costs.
So this is actually year 5 of us doing it, and when we came, I had Kelly read you how we were doing some of our Title I funds so that our parents could have this opportunity, and we would use Title I to fund it. I can tell you we were the first in the state to do so, and that model has gone out through other districts as a better way of using Title I funds. Give our kids this opportunity without our parents having to pay for it.
That's why I asked, so, yeah. So
So this is,
essentially, no.
this is awesome for,
Yeah.
for families that are, if you're listening, if you have someone who's a sophomore, junior, or senior, or headed into that, and they're interested in acting or dance or graphic design, there are residential programs at the University of Illinois this summer that your child can go to, and there's an application process, but there is so much stuff here: lighting design, music tech, hip hop. They don't want me to take that, but that'd be scary. But what's the application process? Do they contact us?
They can get support from folks at DHS or in their buildings. Also, though, Ms. Kaczewski and folks in Mrs. Truex's office and Mrs. Truex will always sit down with the families and help them fill out. They meet with the families, so we will provide any support that they need, or their office provides any support that they need.
I would love to spend my summer this way.
I know.
Everyone should sign up for this.
I remember when Dr. Geddes proposed this idea the very first year, and we had a really short timeline to get it done, if I remember correctly. But my boys were still in school at that time here in the district, and there were so many things, and I brought it home and we went through everything. There was a really neat camp available for what Joey likes to do, especially for media and photography and all those types of things, and it just was incredible, the offerings.
This is great. Thank you for making
Thank
us
you.
a flagship for this, Dr. Geddes.
Something
Appreciate
for the
that.
kiddos to do this summer.
Part 2. Part 2. Okay, that brings us to item 15, superintendent and board comments. Superintendent first.
I've commented, I'm good.
You good? Okay, we're gonna start left and then go to the right. Elder Parks, anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I would just like to applaud the young people that spoke earlier. They did an awesome job, and the work that went into that. So I want to thank them for showing up and sharing with us. And I also want to say to Mr. Tan, oh, he's gone, but the work that went into that, I love that presentation and what you all are doing there, because social work was something that as a young person, I wanted to get more involved in. But the Lord had other ideas for me, but I'm finding out that even in ministry, there's a lot to do with social work, and so I applaud you for the work that what you're doing, and what Dr. Geddes has done with this program. This is awesome. This is truly awesome. So God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I echo the kudos to the young kids. It's not easy to stand up before a big crowd, and they did a great job. But also the teachers that put on that day do so much work. They plan it for a long time, and they also are to be commended for a really good job. Saturday is the, I don't even know what annual it is, of the color, the 23rd? No, it's not. The annual, which we weren't able to do for a couple of years because of the pandemic, but the Color Burst 5K, for those of you that don't know, there are stations along the 5K route. You could walk, you could run, you could be a spectator. You don't even have to do any of that. And then there are color stations and volunteers, hundreds of volunteers, right, Kim? Hundreds? Close, yeah, a lot. And they throw color at you. So by the time you're all done, you're very colorful. So it's always a lot of fun. And I would encourage you to come on out and watch it. It really is fun. Saturday at Winter Park.
Weather's supposed to be great.
Weather's supposed to be awesome.
We look forward to that. Look forward to seeing the pictures of tie-dyed people. It's awesome.
Okay. I wanted to, of course, I echo the students and their willingness and ability to get up and speak and be so articulate and so sincere and convincing. I also wanted to make sure I gave acknowledgement to Molly Bailey and Lindsay Nixon. They do so much with the special education department, and so much of it is behind the scenes. We don't get to see it. They're just mired down in requirements, and we rarely, we just don't usually get a chance to see the fruits of their labors. And by bringing Dr. Tan here, we really got to see that collaboration. And I know that had to come with a lot of hard work from you ladies and your department. And thank you for doing that, for being kind of some of the unsung heroes of the district and for some of our neediest populations, for our students. So you're always in there fighting, and you're very appreciated, both of you and your whole team. And I wanted to point out, like Mr. Rice, that story walk was at his school at Mead Park, and there is so much creativity that goes on there with the summer school that you've had there before, and so it surprised me not at all that it was from your school that was there. Anything that we can do to help the children kind of meet their social emotional needs and meet them where they are. I've noticed that coming out of Mead Park over and over again. And I just wanted to acknowledge you and your staff and your team for that. And there's tons of acknowledgement that can go through the whole district, but that's just kind of what struck me tonight. So I'm very appreciative, and thank you very much.
Kudos. Mrs. Halloran for Dr. Tan. Being a school social worker, a school guidance counselor, and us working together, we know how much it is needed. I've had a number of conversations with principals this year about meeting the needs of students just coming back from COVID, just back into the buildings and trying to adjust. And kudos to you for bringing this to us, this help, because our kids need it. And if we are going to grow, yes, our numbers are dwindling, but if we are going to erase this negativity that Dr. Tanner referred to in our community, we need the help. And we can't do it all. Staff can't do it all. Everybody that's in the buildings now can't do it all. They need help. And we're so glad that we're getting that help, and we kudos to you. And I'm like Dr. This is April. We don't have, the school year is about over. It is unbelievable that we have gotten through the school year, and to think that we May and then graduation. Isn't that something? But it's not over, kids. It's not over, but it is close. And thank you, staff, for all that you have done to get us to this point. We applaud you. I applaud you. You have done a yeoman's job, and I know you'll continue to do it to the end.
Dr. Ashton mentioned at the beginning that there was a jazz clinic that happened with Northridge Middle School, the Red Peppers, and DHS 10th Degree. Just wanted to thank Mr. Klett and Mr. Kraft. I think that the music opportunities that we have in this district are absolutely amazing, and I think that a lot of people don't really know that if you're in our schools, we will give you any instrument that you're willing to practice, even if you can't practice at home because the neighbors will call the cops on you. I've heard that before, which is terrible. Neighbors calling the cops on your trumpet player neighbor. But I just think it's great. I hope that the kids can just see how great their music department is. I hope that people take more advantage of those opportunities. But there really is no cost. They're going to give you private lessons. They're going to help you get in the orchestra, the band. At at the earliest levels, and I just think they are doing an absolutely great job. I wish I went to a public school that paid for me to practice piano or guitar or trumpet or I didn't have that opportunity, and it's really great to see that our district supports music in that kind of way, and I'm really proud of them for doing that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Easton. I have to agree absolutely 1,000% with you. Wow, music is a window into your soul. The arts are extremely important. At one time, we had considered slashing our arts programs here. I was on the board when we had this discussion. Thank goodness we didn't, and that we still support them. So I thank you, board members, for that. I don't think it's in jeopardy at the moment, but it's a cyclical thing, especially when funding gets close. First things that start to go are the arts programs and band and music and choir. But that's for another day, so happy about that. You guys have all made great comments. I don't need to say anything more. Please enjoy the rest of the week, and with that, our meeting is adjourned.